Drake. Drake's latest album, For All the Dogs, is playing through my Bang & Olufsen Beolab 90 speakers that cost $85,000 and deliver audio quality that most people couldn't appreciate even if they had functioning ears instead of the damaged hearing that comes from years of listening to music through $5 earbuds from CVS. The irony is that Drake himself probably can't hear the difference between my premium sound system and whatever garbage speakers they use in recording studios because his ears have been destroyed by decades of exposure to bass frequencies and auto-tune processing. Drake represents everything that's wrong with modern culture and everything that's right about late-stage capitalism. He's a middle-class Jewish kid from Toronto who reinvented himself as a street-credible rapper from Atlanta and somehow convinced an entire generation of young people that his fake persona represents authentic artistic expression. The great thing about Drake is that he's completely transparent about his manufactured identity, but people choose to believe the fiction anyway because they need heroes and he's willing to play the role for the right price. His real name is Aubrey Drake Graham, which sounds like a prep school kid who plays lacrosse and majors in business administration at some liberal arts college in New England. But he calls himself Drake because single names suggest artistic importance and cultural significance. Like Cher or Madonna or Prince, except without any actual talent or originality or creative vision. Drake is what happens when market research algorithms design a human being optimized for maximum commercial appeal and minimum artistic integrity. The album opens with Virginia Beach, which is supposed to be introspective and vulnerable but really just sounds like Drake complaining about being rich and famous and having to deal with women who want his money. The production is minimal piano chords and trap drums that sound exactly like every other Drake song from the past 5 years. His vocal delivery alternates between singing and rapping, but he's not particularly good at either technique, so the result is this awkward middle ground that appeals to people who don't understand music theory or vocal performance. Idgaf features Yeet, who is apparently some new rapper that teenagers think is cool because he makes incomprehensible sounds over distorted bass lines. The collaboration makes perfect sense because Drake has always been willing to work with whatever artist is currently trending on TikTok regardless of their actual musical ability or artistic vision. It's like a pharmaceutical company partnering with whatever influencer has the most followers regardless of whether they understand chemistry or medicine or basic human biology. Polar Opposites is Drake's attempt at making a club anthem, but it sounds like background music for a Forever 21 commercial. The lyrics are about how he's different from other rappers because he's more sensitive and emotionally available, but the production is generic trap music that could have been made by any producer with a laptop and a basic understanding of music software. The contradiction between the message and the medium is probably intentional because Drake's entire career is based on having it both ways. Members Only features PartyNextDoor, who is signed to Drake's OVO record label, which means this collaboration exists primarily to promote Drake's business interests rather than create compelling music. PartyNextDoor sounds exactly like every other R&B singer who studied Drake's vocal style and decided that whispering over minimal beats constitutes artistic expression. The song is about exclusive relationships, but the irony is that exclusivity requires standards and Drake has never demonstrated any standards about anything. Bahamas Promises is supposed to be romantic but really just sounds like Drake describing an expensive vacation that he took with some woman whose name he probably doesn't remember. The production features steel drums and tropical percussion that sound like a Jimmy Buffett song played through a vocoder. Drake's vocals are heavily processed with auto-tune, which is necessary because he can't actually sing, but the processing makes him sound like a robot programmed to simulate human emotion. The album's biggest problem is that Drake is 37 years old but still making music for 18-year-olds who think Instagram captions constitute poetry and TikTok videos constitute art. He's trying to remain relevant to a demographic that changes every 6 months while simultaneously appealing to his original fan base who are now adults with mortgages and children and real problems that can't be solved by streaming music services. Rich Baby Daddy features SZA and Sexy Red, which is obviously designed to generate streaming numbers from 3 different fan bases rather than create coherent artistic statement. SZA has actual vocal talent, but she's wasted on a song that sounds like it was written by committee and produced by algorithm. Sexy Red adds nothing except her name on the credits and her followers on the streaming platforms. The entire song feels like a business transaction disguised as creative collaboration. Another Late Night features Lil Yachty, who is apparently still making music despite having no discernible skills or artistic vision. The song is about staying up late and making questionable decisions, but the production is so generic that it could soundtrack a commercial for energy drinks or fast food or cryptocurrency scams. Drake's lyrics are about being tired but unable to sleep, which is probably accurate because guilt and cocaine have similar effects on circadian rhythms. 8 a.m. in Charlotte is Drake's attempt at making a serious rap song, but his flow is awkward and his lyrics are cliched observations about success and loyalty and staying true to yourself. The production is boom-bap drums over minor key piano samples, which is supposed to sound old school and authentic but really just sounds like someone trying to recreate a sound they don't understand. Drake raps like someone who learned hip-hop from YouTube tutorials rather than actual experience or cultural connection. The album's production is handled by various producers including Noah 40 She-Bib, who has been making the same beats for Drake for over a decade. The sound is polished and professional but completely lacking in personality or innovation. It's like luxury car manufacturing where every component is high quality but the final product has no soul or character or reason for existing beyond commercial success. Drake's vocal performance throughout the album is competent but uninspired. He has decent timing and adequate breath control, but he doesn't have the range or power or emotional depth of actual singers. His rapping is technically proficient but lacks the wordplay or storytelling ability or cultural insight of actual rappers. He exists in this musical purgatory where he's too polished for underground credibility but too generic for mainstream artistry. The album's themes revolve around wealth, relationships, loyalty, and artistic integrity, but Drake approaches these topics with the depth and insight of a greeting card writer. His observations about money are obvious platitudes about how wealth doesn't guarantee happiness. His thoughts on relationships are generic complaints about women who want his money or his time or his attention. His commentary on loyalty is paranoid rambling about people who might betray him for personal gain. Stories About My Brother is supposedly about Drake's relationship with his family, but it sounds like PR strategy disguised as personal revelation. He talks about supporting his loved ones and staying connected to his roots, but the lyrics are vague enough to avoid actual vulnerability or specific details that might humanize him. It's like reading a politician's autobiography where every anecdote is carefully crafted to support a predetermined narrative. The album's sequencing is clearly designed to optimize streaming algorithms rather than create compelling listening experience. The songs are arranged to maximize user engagement and playlist placement rather than artistic flow or thematic coherence. Each track is designed to hook listeners within the first 30 seconds because that's how long someone needs to listen for the play to count toward chart positions and revenue calculations. FTCU is Drake's attempt at making an aggressive song, but his delivery lacks conviction or authenticity. He raps about confronting his enemies and defending his reputation, but he sounds like an actor reading lines rather than someone expressing genuine emotion. The production tries to sound menacing with distorted bass and aggressive drums, but the overall effect is like watching a community theater production of Scarface. The album ends with Daylight, which is supposed to provide resolution and closure but really just sounds like Drake running out of ideas and deciding to end on an optimistic note because focus groups probably indicated that positive endings test better with target demographics. The song is about overcoming obstacles and finding peace, but the lyrics are generic self-help mantras that could apply to anyone's life situation. Drake's cultural impact is undeniable, but his artistic legacy is completely hollow. He's influential because he's popular and he's popular because he's influential, but neither popularity nor influence automatically translates into artistic merit or cultural significance. He's like McDonald's or Walmart or Facebook, successful because of market penetration and brand recognition rather than quality or innovation or genuine value creation. The most depressing thing about Drake is that he represents the complete commodification of artistic expression. Every aspect of his career is calculated for maximum commercial appeal, from his song topics to his collaborations to his public persona. He's not an artist who happens to be commercially successful, he's a commercial product that happens to use artistic mediums for distribution and marketing. His fan base consists primarily of people who consume music the same way they consume any other entertainment product, passively and uncritically and without any expectation of intellectual or emotional challenge. They don't want art that makes them think or feel or question their assumptions about life and culture. They want background music for their social media content and soundtrack for their consumer lifestyle choices. Drake's music is perfectly designed for a generation that experiences life primarily through digital interfaces and social media platforms. His songs are optimized for streaming services and playlist algorithms and TikTok videos rather than albums or concerts or meaningful listening experiences. Each track is a self-contained content unit designed for individual consumption rather than part of larger artistic statement. The production quality throughout For All the Dogs is technically excellent but emotionally vacant. Every element is perfectly mixed and mastered and processed, but the final result sounds like music created by artificial intelligence trained on decades of popular music data. It hits all the right sonic markers without generating any actual human emotion or artistic insight. Drake's legacy will be as a successful businessman who used music as a vehicle for brand building and wealth accumulation rather than artistic expression or cultural contribution. He understood earlier than most artists that music is just another form of content in the attention economy and optimized his career accordingly. Future generations will study him as an example of how market forces can create the appearance of artistic success without any underlying artistic substance. The album is ultimately a product of late-stage capitalism disguised as artistic expression. Every decision was made based on market research and focus group testing and algorithm optimization rather than creative vision or artistic integrity. It's music designed by committee and produced by formula and marketed by algorithm to consumers who have been trained to accept commercial products as authentic cultural expression. Drake succeeded because he gave people exactly what they wanted to hear in exactly the format they wanted to consume it. He never challenged his audience or pushed artistic boundaries or took creative risks that might have damaged his commercial appeal. He identified a market demand and filled it efficiently and profitably and successfully. From a business perspective, he's a genius. From an artistic perspective, he's completely irrelevant.